At least the other two, though, they sounded good, especially the Insta-date. Fuck.
Yeah, that was nice. Why did that say it failed to update for YouTube?
YouTube. Just share the link with the guys.
There we go. Yeah, yes, please. I'll do the fountain stuff afterwards. And all those other things I messaged you about. We'll sort that out afterwards. All right. Going live. But yeah, how about you, man? What's been going on with you?
I mean, a similar sort of busyness, I guess. Been buying more Bitcoin, which has been good. Actually, again, timing it nicely at when it went down again, bought some more.
Beautiful.
Bounced back up.
Nice.
I was like, oh, very nice.
Yeah, I think I might have got that right as well. I bought a little bit more not too long ago.
Yeah, the days have just been fairly full still. Enjoying the training. Definitely gone up to about an hour and a half of 2 hours of training a day, which has been nice.
Damn. How's Jazz feeling?
Good. And we were at the hospital on Monday. Had to go in for a late night checkup. So we didn't feel the baby kicking much, so we had to go to the hospital to go get checked out. So we were there for an hour and a half.
Okay.
Probably. All up.
Was that
maybe a bit less?
Was that over needed, you think?
I mean, looking back on it now, we're like, oh, probably didn't have to, but it's one of those, like, you don't know.
Like, could you live with yourself if on that 1 in a million chance? I get you.
But no, beside that, it's been good. I've been in it feels like a nice little final set of routine before the newness of life will come, which is good.
For sure, yeah.
The training's been going awesome though. Like my forearm's starting to clear up, and
nice.
I'm finding myself doing good rowing intervals. Not what times have I been? So in the predominant amount of workout days, the staple seems to be 12, so 3 rounds of rowing with a few of other things thrown in the mix, right? But it'll be about 15 calories per round of rowing. And so when you add them up, it's 45 calories over 3 rounds. Now, at least for me, and whatever little damper thing I'm using, it equals out to about 750 meters to 800 meters. And I'm doing that around 3 minutes or slightly under 3 minutes. And that's with...
It's pretty good.
Getting off, getting back on, getting off, getting back on. So it's not straight through. And that's starting to feel like... I'm not out of breath by the end of it. I've worked up a good sweat, but I'm not like jacked. And it wasn't until actually the other day, maybe 2 days ago, where I went to the gym and there was a guy next to me who was rowing, and he was an older gentleman, and he was rowing fast. And I'm not gonna say hard. He was rowing fast, and he had the damper meter at 10, so the absolute highest. And his stroke rate I think was like 34, 35, 36. So it was like literally right next to me. My stroke rate was about 28, 27, 26, maybe even a bit lower. And I was on a damper of 4. And I was just more so, it was just very tail end of the workout, just doing a kilometer.
Yeah.
I was going at a roughly 204, 205 pace for the 500. And I was just, almost felt like gentle but heavy pulling. And I looked over and the guy was pulling at a much faster rate at a damper of 10. But because he wasn't, I guess, generating the power or the pull strength, he was going at about 210, 211. And so it was almost comical. I was just sort of sitting there, just sort of not leisurely, but rowing to a kilometer at a really sustainable sort of pace. And then the final 200 meters, I cranked it to a minute 36, minute 34 pace for the whole thing. And I was like, man, this felt good.
Damn, boy.
So working that
fast, boy.
Working that technique, folks, on your rowing does make a substantial difference. Substantial. And I've been feeling my traps I've been getting every single day pretty jacked. And also this type of workout routine that I've been doing, I've done legs Monday, Tuesday, today, also Friday I'll be doing it, and Saturday. And tomorrow is like a heavy bicycle riding day. And I was like, damn, this program is going to jack up my legs. And I did a run today, and I'll walk 7 kilometers.
Okay.
So it's a big day today, folks.
You know what it takes to jack up my legs nowadays? So
run?
So on Sunday, no. Well, kind of, a little bit. On Sunday, I did, this is what it was. Dragon pistols, dragon squats, I guess. They're one-legged thing. Pistol squats with like arms behind the back, which makes it definitely way harder.
Okay.
Ones where I kind of stand next to a thing, lean on it, and basically all I'm doing is just like hip flexor, just straightening my leg up.
Yep.
And then calf raises, one-legged, just body weight.
Yeah, and then
jacks me up, man.
Jack you up.
Especially the calf raises. So I probably did, I would say about 40 to 50 calf raises, slow, and pushing in with max contraction. In total on each leg, and man, my calves were sore for days afterwards.
Jacked, yeah. Yeah, my leg, well, when I was doing the run this afternoon, I can confirm that my legs felt very heavy. My legs felt very heavy in that run.
Okay.
It was a pretty fast run though. It was, I went with a guy from work, and it was just me and him today, and we'd run a 3.8 kilometer at about 5 minute 30 pace before. And we had to kind of stop early, and he sort of finished a little bit earlier. So I thought today, I said to him, we'll do shorter, we'll go 2 kilometers, but we'll pick up the pace to see it, just to see what we can do. Anyway, this dude held on with me the whole time. And so it made me push, and I was like, damn, I kind of wished I'd just run it at 5:30 pace. And we ran the 2Ks at a 4:41 pace. So I was like, damn, that is much faster than I was needing it to do. And I jacked myself up.
All right, I'm gonna try posting this on Noster as well. Conversations.
What does it stand for again? Notes
and other stuff transmitted by relays.
Notes and other stuff transmitted by relay. By the way, huge call out right now, but while we wait to get started on Lyn Alden, I know Karen's listening to the conversation with Peter McCormack.
I am, correct.
I finished listening to that one. However, I will not point people to that. But I will point people to Lyn Alden has a blog. I don't know if you read the blog. I'm not a big blog reader.
Is it the same as a weekly newsletter or newsletter? Is it the same thing?
I think they come out monthly. Although I haven't seen it. I don't know how regular, but it's just Lyn Alden.
Yeah.
Her latest posts of April, which is about the closed and open financial system and the closed and open social media articulation, which goes a lot into the conversation of Nostra and a few other things. Man, brilliant. I was like, damn. I really enjoyed listening to Lyn Alden.
Yeah, me too.
Reading that article, I went, wow, that is so very well articulated. So I would heavily recommend people to go check that out. I posted it on my LinkedIn. I was like, whew, that was a good read. And I hate reading long articles on the internet. Let me tell you that.
Me too.
This was a long article, a very long article. What's the man doing now?
So this is posting on Noster. Hey everyone, we're live. Now we have to wait a couple of days. Got some beauties to talk about, and then I might even try and attach a thing and see if
it works. I haven't actually used Noster at all.
Dude,
still haven't.
It's still a pain in the ass. if you think Fountain was giving you
problems,
troublesome, you try Noster, Lordy. I know what I'm doing, and this stuff is painful. I can't even follow people. I'm like clicking the follow button, nothing's happening. I'm going on different applications. I'm on snort.social at the moment. I downloaded Amethyst the other day. Astral.ninja is just straight up not working for me. It's hard, but I'm not the
that's what happens when you're new into it as well.
I'm not the tech lord, and so this is why I use people like Sam and Adam Curry as guideposts.
Guinea pigs.
And Adam says there's something to Noster. And I go, okay, I'm going to listen to Adam Curry because he fucking invented podcasting.
Yeah. Well, I would actually go read that article by Lyn.
Yeah, I will do.
Big call out on Noster and the reasoning behind it, which I thought was very cool.
Okay, cool.
He also uses drawings. He chooses drawings like Tim Urban does in Wait But Why. Super clear, dude. I need to send that to my dad, and I reckon you should send it to your dad because there was a very clear explanation to the fractional system of finances versus the utilization of Bitcoin for hosts and users and so on. And I was like, okay, very clear.
All right. I mean, it it's surprising to me that my dad hasn't caught on to, because he's right up there in terms of like fractional reserve.
I bet you he's just pranking you. So like, in 10 years time, he'll be like, jokes, I actually had 100
I am
Bitcoin.
Satoshi. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Satoshi. Not the mere mortals anymore.
All right, I think we're already
billionaire mortals.
done it. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Let's rock and roll.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, here we go.
The Alchemy Immortals.
Welcome back, folks. We are on the 5th of April 2023, and you've got the Mere Mortals podcast here with another session of Musings where we go deep into a topic that we want to talk about. You've got Juan on this side of the end of the mic.
Kyron here. Did you say the date already?
I did indeed.
Nice.
5th of April 2023.
Distracted. Got so many things going on here.
Now, today's topic is an interesting one. This was derived by ChatGPT. Not the 4.0 version, but the 3.0 version.
Okay.
Why? I typed into ChatGPT. First of all,
What's a good topic?
What's a good topic for podcasting? And it just gave me dribble. Like, it was shit. And I was like, oh, this is dumb. And it made me so clear that, hey, I need to articulate sometimes some things. And I actually said, hey, philosophically, what's some of the most interesting topics that you can talk about? Now, the first 15 or whatever, it gave me a list. I went, look, we've talked about these in some form, way or another. I'm not going to go into those particular ones, but the way towards the bottom, it wasn't the last one, but the second last one. It actually said aesthetics. You should have a conversation.
Aesthetics.
And I went, oh, that is an interesting one. I haven't really thought about this at all before.
We haven't done that before, no.
No, and at first glance, in my mind, a topic or an idea came up, and I went, oh, yeah, we'd be talking about this. The more I thought about it, I thought, there's underlying conversations about this. There's interesting things. There's questions that I could formulate out of this. I went, okay, I like this particular topic. I think I'm going to dive into it.
I think this one is definitely worth having a bit of a definition for.
Yep.
Just because it is rather obscure. Any word with AE in it is an obscure word.
It's an obscure word indeed.
And
Well, I have a couple of meanings here, some incredibly abstract, some not. If you want to bring it up at all, feel free to do so. But the one I wrote down was, the meaning for at least aesthetics that we want to look into. For me, I thought, a set of principles concerned with the nature and appreciation of beauty. Now, even within that, beauty, I go, beauty could be within like the eye of the beholder.
Well,
but it is
kind of the
a
point,
very...
I think, but
correct.
Yes.
It's kind of like the point of aesthetics in generality, because it is and as we'll probably talk more into it, it's definitely more towards the art, less towards the science in some regards, right? So in that perspective, I try to find some
other ones are the nature and beauty of beauty and taste, as well as the philosophy of art. It examines aesthetic values often expressed through judgments of taste. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. I went down this interesting path of philosophical aesthetics, and you can go and Google that or find it out to your own means. I didn't get it. Like, I just wasn't interested by it, and I'll give you like a couple of scripts out of that I found. Philosophical aesthetics traditionally oscillates between a theory of knowledge and a theory of art, and as a result, all attempts of conceptual framing of aesthetics have failed, and so far, etc. And another part of aesthetic knowledge is a fundamental dimension of the human culture, and it has been crucial in the development of a scientific understanding of the natural world. And it went on and on and on about this. And I was like, I can see those, but maybe I wouldn't take it too far. So I'm not going to be philosophizing it that hard. There's enough text out there and people who are thinking about it at a weirder, deeper level than me, which we're not going to get into. And here we are at the Mere Mortals. We go deep, but not that deep, as you might see from comments in Karen's book reviews.
Yeah, I've been getting some hate because of...
I didn't read the book.
I didn't write the book. I didn't like the psychoanalysts, and I apparently need to study more before I do that.
So...
I've got I think there's only one acceptable starting place for any topic on aesthetics. It must start with Zyzz Brah. So, for those who are listening and don't know who Zyzz is, man, have you missed out on some gems of memes.
Does it go beyond the Australian borders?
Yes. I think it does, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I've seen plenty of American meme channels. Jack PGM is a good one, which we're both subscribed to.
Yep.
He includes Zyzz on there, and it'll pretty come off. So I'll try and give this my interpretation. You probably actually know this better because you're on the bodybuilding forums.
I talked to them on the bodybuilding
There you
forum.
go.
Yep.
There you go. So
him, his brother, at the time, Aziz.
I'll let you do it, man. I'll wait.
But basically, I knew of them because there were Saeed, his brother, Zyzz on the bodybuilding.com forums, and there was a whole big group that they also went around with. So I remember them from that. But yes.
So describe who they are. And
so Zyzz and the posse of that time, when would it have been? 2008, 9, 10, 11? Would have been around that rough time frame?
Yeah, so his name is Aziz Shavershian.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a very hard one.
Butchered his name, but there's no life to see it.
So he was born 24th March 1989, died 5th of August 2011. I feel like it might have even been mid-2000s when...
so it'd been a little while ago. In any case, so the man was relatively skinny-ish, but had a good structure.
Very
Same
lean,
with his brother. They got jacked. They took a lot of unprescribed doses of juice to get bigger. Now, and they, I guess, at the time were sort of the pinnacle in terms of structure, of shape, and you got into this whole conversation of how they're the aesthetic build. Aesthetic in itself, and from a bodybuilding perspective, has been along for a long time. So I think there was the golden era of bodybuilding that moved more towards the mass bodybuilders through like 80s, 90s, 2000s. And they were around at that time, at least Zyzz and a few of the others who were, that's an aesthetic physique. And they referred back to the golden era of wide shoulders, really small waist, the measurement between calves and the arms being the same. And so it was So
if you're trying to imagine it nowadays, I believe it's called sport bodybuilding or athletic bodybuilding. Do you know?
No, it would be the best approach would be classic bodybuilding.
Classic bodybuilding.
So more specifically, you look at the Chris Bumsteads. There is a few others, but basically classic bodybuilding in IFBB, that would be your traditional / aesthetic type of bodybuilding, as opposed to your full big bodybuilding. That more of a throwback to the golden era type of bodybuilding.
Men's classic physique is probably what you're trying to imagine. Yeah,
correct. So that is in essence that sort of body shape, and then I guess that's where the conversation of aesthetics probably first entered my realm of thought, because I didn't think about it in any other way. And I was going to ask you this for you, and then I'll describe it for me first, is where, if anywhere, has the term aesthetics, or at least more broadly, the philosophy of beauty and art in space and environment entered into your life? Because for me, it was absolutely in bodybuilding perspective, right? I was year 9, year 8, when I was reading all about these
14
things.
years old, roughly.
Yeah. And let's put a year to it, 2005. I think it would have been roughly about that time.
2006, yeah.
2006. Now, around the time I was swimming, I was a swimmer, and I had a pretty proportional body shape. It wasn't juicy aesthetic. I wasn't gymming, but I had a shape to me. It was a shape.
Yeah.
I wasn't considering it myself. Like, I don't think I had any conceptual thoughts at the time of like, I've got an aesthetic physique. I never thought about it like that. But it was introducing through the bodybuilding.com forums, through what people would describe as the golden shape. And so it was if I get this right, they wanted your neck, your arms, and your calves to be the same size. And I vividly remember someone being like 17-inch neck, 17-inch arms, 17-inch calves, and be like, that's the perfect. And then a certain amount of waist to shoulder for the V taper, and that would be and the more extreme, the better. So that was, in my mind, what it was considered the aesthetic physique. There might have been a similar thing for females. I just was not even looking into it at the time. Yeah. There might be, but I just didn't look into it. So that's where it entered first into my realm. Did it apply then into my life? Again, when I first started training properly in the gym, it was much more a friends training circle, fun training circle. It then moved probably for a few years into that more aesthetic / power building sort of mode, where I cared about it somewhat because I was getting bigger, but it wasn't that I was striving Zyzz level to be, I need to be shredded for this particular event. I need to be looking absolute mint condition to go to the beach. Sure, I cared if I didn't look great. I'd be wanting to keep myself in shape, but it wasn't the end all be all. So I was never in a state where, aesthetics is the end goal, the 100%. and it has just deteriorated more and more and more and more and more and more since then. There's still probably some slight percentages, I would say maybe 3 to 4%, maybe more, maybe 5% of me that goes, if I train for a month, you know, will I be able to maintain my shape, shoulder size, trap size, calf size, leg size? That one's really gone away. I've never cared anymore, which I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But it's becoming a smaller and smaller thing, and much more for me of overall health and fitness aspect. So that level of aesthetics or looking a particular way has gone down in my mind, but it's not like it has disappeared in the sense that all my training does that anyways. So it's kind of like, it's okay. So that would be, for me, the aesthetic principle, the philosophy of beauty, or the seeing the beauty in nature or the shape to be something that drew me. And so even today, if I was to see someone, like I can admire a great physique for many levels beyond the surface that maybe can be seen. AKA, if I was to see the aesthetics of a rear delt, or of the trapezius muscle being striated, or a tricep, there's a whole different levels of understanding, which, you know, we talked about at the beginning. There are some scientific angles to it, as in knowing the effort and what it takes, but there's a certain level of art, level of, you know, humanity behind it to know that's a beautiful tricep, that's a beautiful trap, that's a beautiful calf shape, physique.
Yeah, the scientific stuff I'll get onto soon, because there's some stuff, you know, golden ratio, hourglass figure,
Pi,
0.7 hip to waist ratio, that sort of stuff. That stuff is all kind of, it's well established scientifically in terms of people judging attractiveness level or being drawn to certain things. And much like you'll see with babies and kind of eye movement gazing and tracking and stuff, you know, when they're presented with certain faces, they tend to be drawn towards the more symmetrical and things like this. More symmetrical people are on average more attractive. All of this kind of gets towards a sexual selection type of deal. So that's kind of where I started off with as well.
Gotcha.
For me, I was super skinny.
You'll just see Karen walking around with a mirror hanging basically in the front of your face. So
Yeah,
they can
yeah,
only
yeah.
see like one side and be perfectly
Gotta get that. Gotta get that. I don't know if it's the same for you, but I always favored a certain side in the mirror or something. Like if I held up a mirror so that I could kind of see myself on profile, is what it's called.
Yep.
I'd always favor, I think, this way. So
see, that's an interesting.
My left side of my face.
I know we're going off topic, but that particular, I hear that from like everybody. Like they'll go. I remember, you know, taking photos with my partner, with friends. I'll be like, oh no, I'll go on this side. That's my better side. I'll go this angle. I've never thought that.
Yeah.
Now that's probably because I've got two shit sides. So that's the reality.
Have you ever
doesn't actually
held
matter.
up a mirror and seen yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I've even like
profile?
held up. I've done it with like photos. I've had to do like photos to the side.
Yeah.
I just never have. Not
Just
that
a
aesthetic.
god.
Yeah.
Just godly physique over
Godly
here.
physique. So that's what happens, folks. Thank you, Mum. Give me the godly physique.
Very interesting. Yeah. Well, I never got the impression that you're too self-conscious. So that is probably just self-conscious people do this.
Maybe.
In any case, yeah, my reason for joining the gym was sexual attraction. I wanted to get better. So it's not exactly aesthetics, although it's kind of part, you know, I wanted to be more beautiful, I guess. I wanted to be more attractive. I think beauty and attraction can be similar. Very, very similar, but easy to confuse sometimes as well. Hence,
I'll say they can be complementary.
Yes. Hence the argument why a girl can be beautiful but not sexy, or beautiful but not hot, or that, you know, because attractiveness has that extra pizzazz to it. There's something in, you know, that evolutionary drawing in, I want to mate with that person sort of feeling, whereas beauty can just be like, wow, she's a really good looking girl, but I don't want to sleep with her. That sort of thing. So for me, it was more the attractiveness that was bringing me into why I go into the gym, for example, which I joined when I was 20, put on a bit of muscle. Once again, I actually think the 80% of that went away within the first 3 months, where I got, you know, 80% of the confidence that I'd ever get from going to the gym. And not 80% of the gains, but definitely the value of looking better. I didn't need to look that much better.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, when you began, was there a view towards like an ideal shape that you wanted, aka the aesthetic that you wanted, or it wasn't even that? It was
Probably,
just
the Brad Pitt in Fight Club sort of thing. So
Gotcha.
still really lean, very much like the Zyzz type body shape, very lean, little bit of muscle on them, but it's certainly not what you would call a strong person.
No, it's not like a gargantuan individual, but yeah, okay, I got.
Yeah, and which was making me thinking, is so much of aesthetics, and when people talk about bodybuilding and aesthetics, is it actually that they love their physical shape is now this form, and that's what they love, or it's the feelings of strength or the feelings of power that you can get from being stronger, or the feelings of progressing forward, of self-improvement, because I think so much of that would tie into what Zyzz was talking about, because his story is very similar to mine. Small kid, weak, lanky, goes to the gym, puts on a bit of muscle. He took it way further than I ever would. And perhaps there are arguments that he actually gained pleasure from looking at his body in a just pure form type shape, as in he would look at other guys with that body and go, that form is pleasing to my eye. I want to look at that, which is kind of gay, but I mean, it's not gay, I guess, because it's not a sexual attraction. I doubt he was sexually attracted to them, but maybe he was attracted to that. So for me, I definitely say aesthetics. Maybe once upon a time I thought, I'd really like to get good aesthetics like Zyzz. But no, it was definitely all the other stuff. I want to be more attractive. I like the feeling of being stronger.
Yep.
Perhaps some even, power, domination sort of feelings coming from that as well. But it wasn't the pure aesthetics of the body looking better. I've never been drawn into measuring my delts and trying to get my biceps this bigger.
Yeah,
I don't
ratio.
I've never done that other than just the general knowing of general principles. A V taper is more attractive to women. Square masculine like jaw is more attractive to women. Once again, this is more attractiveness and aesthetics. So
and that's why I wanted to. There's a differentiation, especially in this conversation, of why I was finding it interesting with the aesthetics point was, yes, in some regards it might be like you were saying about, let's just say, the shoulders or the roundness. I think there are layers of the art, of the mystery, of the magic that is a shape that makes you go, oh wow, that's like impressive in the almost unknowing way that it is, or the flow sometimes would be said in a bodybuilding context or any sort of body shape. But then also having the backup of the science behind it. So I'll give you an example. For me, to see like the lat when you turn on a particular quarter twist, or to see a rear delt, or to see the calves, or the split between the hamstring and the quad, all these different little things in the body, for me, I find like interesting / pleasing to look at. I go, oh, that's pleasing. That's really nice to see. In comparison, I could guess, to round, fat example, right? Now, I'm not saying that, like, really, I'm not saying one is better than the other in an aesthetic way. I'm not saying that one's like the superior. Yes, I can talk about from a health perspective why I would think one's better than the other.
Yes. Yeah.
But from an aesthetics, I don't know why it is that I appreciate that more than the other, but I do. Yeah. And the reality is that you can have other individuals who appreciate the other, vice versa, right? There's people out there for everyone, and some people really enjoy people who are a little bit overweight or whatever it may be.
Yeah, correct. So in the conversation I had with Emmett Lewis, he talked about how he has this passion for fashion, I guess you'd call it.
For fashion.
So he is kind of a fashion historian. He's looked at fashion throughout the ages. I think he said his sister or someone close to him, owns a fashion shop or has a garment line or something like that. And he was talking about the tyranny of clothes and kind of what's in, what's the latest in fashion and whatnot. And some great examples he provided, such as, Baby's Got Back, the music clip for, what was his name? Jeez.
JT?
No, that's way before him. Jeez, that's going to be annoying. MC something. My anaconda don't. the girls in that who have back, they have normal sized butts nowadays. They are not big butts. And, you know, at the time it was like, oh my God, he must be a rap guy's girlfriend. Look how big her butt is. Nowadays, it's kind of the Nicki Minaj, biggest as you can get. That's the best.
That's the optimal.
Yeah. Do you find
So Mix-a-Lot.
So Mix-a-Lot, of course. Ugh. And this is where it was going. Okay, you know, fashion also can kind of dictate what is the aesthetics, at least body-wise. You know, in the very high class fashions, they want girls who are basically clothes hangers. So they just want the clothes to drape off of them. They don't want them to be out.
They don't want to be filling it out at all.
Then there's the kind of supermodel Victoria's Secret Angels, which is probably more on the, wow, she is extremely sexy and attractive in that sense. And so she has nice aesthetics for, you know, birth, giving hips and, you know, big gadonkas to feed my baby, that sort of thing. And, you know, small waist, which I think it just has something to do with like intestinal parasites or stuff. I don't know.
But in I think the opposite way in African countries and maybe in other countries, to see a more petite lady is not seen as an aesthetic or an attractive thing. They actually want to see someone who's a little bit fuller, who's a little bit more
correct,
well-fed.
Because that can then imply that they have wealth. They've got extra food. So it's very much dependent on the area that you're in, the context that you're in. You know, blue hair and blonde eyes is much valued higher elsewhere, and people would say those aesthetics are better.
Blue hair and blonde eyes.
Blue hair and blonde eyes. Yeah, no. Well, maybe. I mean,
Jesus.
Probably in the woke. Maybe in the woke.
Hey, I like got stuck. I was like, wait, what's going on?
Blonde hair and blue eyes.
I was like, damn, Khan's going for the mermaids, folks. We're gonna.
So yeah, this is definitely where it's getting more into. Okay, there are some rules. There maybe is some science with related to aesthetics and these things that draw people in more. These more classical signs of beauty, but yeah, it gets pretty quickly into murky territory of
it does.
This person likes this better. This person likes this better. Well, is there a universal rule for beauty and aesthetics? It seems not.
It seems not. However, you know, you think we're going to be talking right now all about the aesthetics of the shape and the physique? You'd be wrong, folks. But stay tuned after we do. We're gonna do the Boostagram Lounge first of all, and then we're gonna blow this puppy out the water.
Oh yeah,
and go much broader. So me immortals, let's do.
I'll do that. So a Boostagram is a message you can send in as you're listening in the actual podcasting app. So this is a much superior form of communication because you're not having to go out and find, you know, Mere Models podcast on the Instagram or Twitter we're not on Twitter. We've got separate accounts on Facebook or anything like that. No, you can do it within the actual app and you can help support the show at the same time. So we just ask that whatever value you get from this show, you send it back. And so we do this through the method of Satoshis and through Bitcoin, which is the currency of the future. And basically, you'll have some Satoshis in your app. You can get this via Fountain by using the Fund Myself wallet stage. If you're using Podverse, you can use the getalbi.com extension. We're also able to fund it in there. If you are in the US, this is much easier because you can use things like Cash App and Strike, which allow you to get this Lightning Bitcoin and send it to a wallet. If you're elsewhere in the world, hit me up. I can help do that for you or guide you through that process of doing that and getting it into the wallet, or you can go into Fountain and they will reward you with some sats. Podfans in the future as well will reward you. Actually, right now, if you go to podfans.fm, you sign up with a wallet and you and getalbi.com is the easiest. And if you just do a lot of their features, you know, zapping someone, clicking subscribe, listening to a show, you know, putting in stuff into your profile, you'll get some sats doing it that way. So also another easy onboarding experience there.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks for laying that out. So let's get started, folks, into the Boostagram Lounge. So we've got the dependable Dave Jones, weekly boost for the Mere Model Nation, 12,112 sats in using Cron.
Rock solid. He's also been helping me out.
Rock solid, Dave.
Getting rid of a extra feed for the book reviews that we had on, and helping me with some other stuff. I feel so guilty, man. Whenever I message him, I'm like, this is the guy who's working a full-time job. He's fucking doing most of the coding, most of the reviewing, pull requests. He's on GitHub. He's solving shit. And I just feel so bad when I message him. I'm like, hey, Dave, can you help me like get rid of this feed? Or I lost access to this thing because the forgot password button isn't working. The email's not working. And it's just like, I feel so bad, man. I'm like, I can't waste this guy's precious time.
Yeah, that's wild. And the fact that he continues to obviously support not just us in that front, but, you know,
everyone
on that as well. That's amazing.
Yeah. He's
Dave, thank you very much.
Amazing guy.
Very much appreciate it. Then we got an interesting face here. We got Adam Curry sending through some sats. 10,000 sats sent using Podverse. Wow, only just started listening and already am blown away by Sam's story. So that's the conversation he had with Sam Seti. I sent some fucking sats. I've been trying to send it. I've literally been trying to send it right now on Fountain, and I can't do it. So I don't know what's going on. So, but I can support
we'll figure it out.
This particular conversation with Sam. First of all, if you haven't listened to it, folks, go listen to it.
Do it.
I've already recommended it to a couple of people. I personally need to go listen to it. So I agree with Adam. Sam was a very cool character. Very good, interesting stories. Felt like you nailed it in some of the information that you had about him, the background stuff. So it's a very good podcast.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Cheers. Yeah. He's, good guests make it easy.
Yep. That's very true.
Yep. So that we actually cut a couple of things right at the start where I'll tell you the story off air, but it's like fucking crazier stories as well, which was just like, no, we have to cut it. Like, it wouldn't have been good to post that. So
offline conversation.
Offline conversation.
But yes, Adam, totally agree. Another one here from Floydian Slips. Interesting interview. Thanks. 2,000 sats and using Fountain.
Thank you, my friend. That's Joshua Dennis from Podcasting 4 with the actual number 4. 4. Value. Man, yeah, he's a guy who's whatever bitching I do about stuff being hard, he's hosting on IPFS podcasting. That is the hardest shit out. It is just so niche that it's amazing any of his stuff works. So yeah, if you go check out any of his stuff, it's
that's amazing.
It's just appreciate it. Appreciate that you can get these things.
And then we had a couple of testing ones. We have some from the Mere Mortals podcast account. We had some from yourself coming through from Fountain and Podverse. Again, we had some troubles with, it seemed,
Satoshi's stream.
Stream coming through.
Yes, so
it's worth probably calling out the bigger boosts.
Yeah. 100%. So this was a lucky one, and it's lucky that I caught it because I believe the Satoshi stream node was down, and I haven't fully implemented this kind of backup thing, which I've been meaning to do for a while. Like I was saying, Dave's helping me out with that stuff, and I didn't want to bother him. So I was wanting to do this months ago, but just didn't want to bother him. Anyway, I saw we got a boost of the biggest of the ballering of the boosts.
A big boost.
I'm just trying to think, what was Peter's biggest boost that he sent in? Was that bigger than this?
I can't remember if it was bigger than this.
Well, I'll have to go back and look, but this could be our biggest boost yet. 222,222 from Chris Lass from Jupiter Broadcasting. I should bring up exactly what he said.
Loving the time codes in the notes. You guys are killing it. Go podcasting.
Thank you
and
very
that was
much.
against our monthly goals podcast. But yeah, that was a huge baller boost that put us right up to the top of the Fountain charts and the baller boosts.
So yeah, number 4 for that week. Definitely the biggest for an episode for that week, and we're going to kind of self-boost in 100,000 from Nathaniel shortly after this. So we'll see where that puts us. But yeah, very
good week. Very good week.
Yes, very encouraging after
encouraging week. Yeah, we had
a couple of weeks of stagnation, of grinding away with not much happening. So
So a very big week on the
cool.
on the podcast in terms of the Boostagram. So Karen called it out again, trialing it out. It is again a little bit of trial and error. Play around with it. We do encourage it. Reach out to us. We can support. We got people who we know very well now that can also get that support as well. So if you are having troubles, you want to participate, let us know.
And once again, there's 100,000 sending in, you get a shirt. It's best to do it, I would say, within the next year, because in the future, that 100,000 is going to be worth a lot. You're going to have to send in quite a lot to be able to get to that.
Yep.
Or the value of it will have increased in kind of dollar terms. So just once again, encouraging people, if you send in 100,000 Satoshis, which at this current moment is probably about $40 Australian, I think.
roughly.
For an easy way to do it is Bitcoin price. So it'd be $42 Australian. What's the Bitcoin price?
Yep. We'll do that.
About that. So, about what you'd expect from a shirt. Bitcoin 10x's, that's 420. You're gonna have to send in a fucking stoner boost to get that.
Try to get that. Yeah, that'd be huge. But yes, thank you very much, everyone, for the Boostagram Lounge.
Chris, massive.
Yeah, huge.
I'll be in touch soon.
Now, back to the aesthetics, folks. And so, yes, we did talk about quite a bit on the body on the first part here of this podcast. But the second part, I think it's worth extrapolating this concept because, again, as we looked back, it is the philosophy of nature, of beauty, right? That whole conversation, the art, the science. And while predominantly my mind went to, the aesthetics of the shape of the body, then it really started extrapolating much further. So another story, and I've talked about it already in the podcast a few times, but more explicitly for aesthetics, I wanted to build a new office. I wanted a new office. Why? There was in part the functionality, aka the table I had was too small.
Yes.
I wanted to be longer. I want to put certain things here. But there was terms about it. There was thoughts, there was ideas, which was, hey, I want a wooden table. I don't want a metal table. I don't want a normal glass table. I don't want a plastic table. I want a wooden table. And I don't just want it to be just a wooden table. I want it to have some curves, some colors, nice. some knots, some trees into it. I don't want some cheap legs. I want to get some sturdy metal legs. I have to put them in, but I want to see them sturdy. They need to look rock solid for this long table. I want to have certain things in the middle of the table. I want to be able to put the camera in a certain way, the stand, the way that I put my tray of items, my pens, the mouse, the keyboard, the laptop, all sort of things, the desktop, the screens. And it made me think, here in plain sight is an example of practical aesthetics, aka there is function, or if you want to call it in a different way, some scientific practical reasons as to why I want such a thing, but there is no technical reason why I would want the difference between a wood or a steel table, or perhaps the curve or no curve. Is it really going to play a practical or a functional change? No, I'm going to say no, really. Infinitesimally, maybe, but realistically, no. The rest of it is all the aesthetics. For me, the way that I walk into a space, so here being a studio/office, is, oh wow, it draws me in. I want to work, I want to do things, I want to take actions, as opposed to feeling dread. So it's more, as I describe it, it's feelings. I don't want to be dread, bored, tired, annoyed, angry that I'm in such a situation. What I get instead is, it feels breezy, I'm happy, spacious, got a lot of space, can work, want to do things. And there's a lot of aesthetics that come into that space. And I wanted to ask you in the way that you set out your environments, so let's broaden it out, do you find that you care or put any effort into the aesthetics of the environments that you participate in, be it when you're training, when you're doing your podcasts, when you're studying, when you're sleeping, when you're working, any of those things?
Yeah, it's very little. As I kind of, this once again is getting more towards the art side of things for me than anything else. So just over my life, I've never been drawn. I'm probably one of those weird babies who would just like look at all the faces, be like, whoa, what's this face? What's this face? Or actually, no, I would have been the baby who would have been scared by all the faces and just not look at any of them. So uncomfortable with uncomfortable with eye contact. So I can't say, when I first got my own place, my own bedroom, did I want stuff on the walls? Yes, but it was because my friends were doing it, not because I wanted a poster on the wall to beautify the room.
Gotcha.
All of the kind of like workstations I've been at or used to work at, all the different places that I've lived, rooms, share houses, studio apartments, all that sort of stuff. I've never beautified them. I don't care about indoor plants for whatever reason. Practicality of stuff, sure. I can get behind having certain things in certain places for ease of use and whatnot. But yeah, they considerations of aesthetics are so low on my radar, I would say.
Yeah. See, and I would say that I was never that much of low radar, but it's certainly now becoming much more on the radar, and that displays in various different areas. Because if I think about it, a gym or a place where I train, even if it was outdoors, there are going to be a large piece for me of it being functional, of having the things I need to do the things I want to do. But more and more, I also want it to be the right space environmentally, aka is the aesthetics of the music, the people, the training, the ability to sweat, all these things which are almost encompass the ambience of it. That's beginning to feel more and more and more like I care about it. Like I do want it to be better. Granted, I do also realize that a lot of what I'm about to say comes from a lot of privilege in the sense that I'm now older, wiser, more money, more ability than I was younger. So I didn't have these options back then. I now have them. So with the options comes the ability of these choices. So there's that. Obviously, an office or office spaces, the difference even where I work normally the other day, we've changed to a different work location in the city. It has better views, better windows, better light, better desktop setup, standing, sitting. Some of it is functional, but for sure the beauty, the aesthetics of the building is much nicer. It's a discernible amount of reasons as to why it's improved my ability to work as opposed to just being neutral or not even dependent. So there's that. But even all the way down to little things, I see the beauty of aesthetics in an almost mathematical way that is sometimes hard to get around. I don't know if this is defined by aesthetics, but if I was to go to the philosophical view of symmetry or nature or maths, I go, man, I always like to do things in even things, aka I like to do 4 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 12 or 4 sets of 14. I barely will ever do like 13 reps, 7 reps,
Really?
5 reps. I'm like, this, even when I do 5 reps, I'm going to be like, it's going to be even. It's going to be symmetrical. If I was to do a
for
routine,
the symmetry though, or is it for the OCD kind of thing? So I'll do stuff where I like to, I was mentioning just before about the leg workouts I did recently. And it's kind of, I like to try and do, ones where it'll be double it. So if I can only do two reps of the pistol squats, prisoner pistols, it'd be great if I could get 4 reps of the dragon pistols or something like that. Or vice versa, with my pull-ups, dips and whatnot. I did that. So it was like a ratio of 2 to 5, 3 to 5, 4 to 5, and 5 to 5, that sort of thing, What has that resemblance to my body? None. There's, I just pulled those numbers out of my ass because I don't know. I don't know if I'd call that aesthetics or if I'd just call that OCD.
Yeah, I don't know if that's why I was like, I'm not sure if this is OCD or whether you put them into here, but there is a certain, not because I can't, because if it was planned for me, if I was doing a planned workout and it said you got to do 9 sets of 13, I'd be able to do that. That's fine. But I find 4 sets of 20 or 4 sets of 12 or 5 sets of 10 to be a more it feels more optimal. Like if I had to just describe it, and it is very much a description, not a scientific thing. It's hey, this feels nicer to do than this much more technical thing. Again, the training that I'm doing at the moment, it has weird percentages and weird weights to the point that I'm not doing the weird weights like 66.5 or 67. I'll do 67.5, 65, 62.5. Granted, it's what I can do with the weights at the gyms that I'm going to also, so it's dictated by that. But I prefer that. I almost feel like, it's rounder. The roundness is lovely.
I get you.
But then it gets into, I almost appreciate more, definitely than what I did when I was younger, but not that I always didn't see this. It was always seen to the beauty. I mean, this is probably just in general, but the beauty of things like fractals. So both in a mathematical sense, but on the beauty of fractals in nature. So you would see fractals in
leaves,
breaking of glass, leaves. You'd probably see it in wave structures. You'd see it in cloud
patterns.
The fractal nature of that. I remember just getting really interested about the golden ratio and the number sequence and how many different places it can be found. And I'm not gonna. I don't have it in front of me. Go Google it. You'll find a lot of information about that. And even just generally, mathematics, and almost, if I had to say one thing, the equation, mark, just equation as in like one side equals the other, and getting it to equal that, there was some form of harmony / aesthetics that I really liked that. Now, that might be a very engineering thing to say, but there was some endless pleasure when a calculation was in balance or in harmony.
Yes, correct.
And I think you can include that in the aesthetics of science. And I think there was a lot of my love of mathematics, engineering, physics that could be attributed, not all, but could be attributed to aesthetics in one way or another. I thought stars were cool. I thought, black holes were cool. I feel like the aesthetic, the idea behind it, the concept was cool. The actual theory of them was cool. I feel like I was attracted for the coolness, what it made me feel, even more than what, the functional aspect of it is. Like, do you and me really care about what the Schwarzer radius is to, squeeze the Earth into a whatever mass and diameter to make a black hole? Not really. Do you care, folks? Probably not really.
Schwarzschild, yeah.
But do we care about? But for me, it's the idea, the principle of the beauty of nature and what it is and what it does. And when you describe it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like the aesthetics that are derived from that.
Okay, so this gets pretty much bang into my points about art. So from what I found, there are certain rules. You listed some of them just there. But where do these come from? And do they apply generally? And why are some people allowed to break the rules? So if you look at something like kintsugi, which is this Japanese art form of, creating this perfect dish, pottery, then they smash it and then they glue it back together. And I don't know what they use. It usually looks golden. I don't think it's actual gold, but maybe some sort of lacquer or something like that. And then they reform it and it's like, wow, kintsugi. It's this thing that was once perfect, broken, and then kind of made whole again. And there's beauty in that. And I go, okay, all right, I can kind of get that. Why now is there beauty in the untouched bowl as well? And which of these is more beautiful? Is the number of stars equaling this, this nice equaling and getting rid of the entropy of the universe, which certainly appeals to you and me more. Why do some other people find beauty in the chaos and in the absolute non-ordering of things not being equal, unfinished works and stuff like that? So it seems to me, sure, it seems there's a rule, but it doesn't apply everywhere. It gets broken. You can find just as many examples of the rule not working, which then gets to me, okay, well, something like art is probably more hype and marketing than anything else, to be honest. It probably has a bigger impact than the genuine aesthetics of whatever the art creation is. The story behind it, the people, the way that they market it, just pure, straight up, in your face investment behind a thing. That, I think, has such more of an appeal, and this is why... how come Van Gogh died penniless? Why is his stuff so revered now? The aesthetics of his art and the beauty that you can find in it, such sublime taste. Why don't people in his own time like it? Why does he have to die penniless? Why does a good book that I've got just over here, A Confederacy of Dunces by John K. Toole. This dude wrote, I think it's a pretty fucking funny book. Died by suicide. Underappreciated artist, mental problems obviously as well. Wasn't until 11 years after his suicide that it finally got published and then became this kind of huge, revered classic. One of the best, it's not satire per se. I was looking this up before. It's like a picturesque novel or something like that. It's kind of, there's a very, it's prose. It's a very particular term for the type of prose that he does. Why is this work of art? Why did he have to die? Without the praise. What changed from that time to this time? So this is all getting into my I suppose just art is so subjective. So whatever you like, whatever you feel, that aesthetics just can't be a general rule. It just can't be.
No, and I agree. I think that in
But
there are...
let me just say this one as well. Some of the artists that, because you mentioned some of the ones you like, MC Escher, I quite like. H.R. Geiger, the guy who created the alien from the movie. What would you call that? Costume, I guess.
Okay.
He's got a lot of works which have these very surreal elements of these, undulating, amorphous bodies and things like that. That's great. The Mandelbrot set is fascinating for its visuality in it, and then also the simplicity behind how it's created. And Hieronymus Bosch, another one. So like, there are artists that I enjoy, but it's like, why do I enjoy these ones? I don't know.
Yeah, and this one, I was thinking about it. So the, overall, from the aesthetics, where it's, it's philosophizing about nature and beauty, and it is just that. It is philosophizing, because there is no one set tune of what is very aesthetic. And I was going to say to the art piece was, I've seen some art pieces, in person where I've gone, wow, like that was like impressive. I am very impressed by this painting, this drawing that I've seen. This is ridiculous. You'll see, on TikTok or a few reels or something else, you'll see, I don't know, a lady who's, pretty much like drawing 9 different pictures all at once with all her hands and feet and all different papers. That's like very skillful. But
once
also
again, that's more the story behind it rather than what she's actually creating.
Correct. Actually, that's a good, very good point. There has been just plain videos that I've seen people drawing, like really detailed drawings that look photorealistic, and that impresses me. That to me is the impressive, and I think I'm partnering there, and I think we always do, aesthetics with some level of what we would consider the skill that we know of. And I think it can be certainly overblown based on the story. So I think in its purest, I think if we could if we're going to have philosophical discussions or just discussions in general about aesthetics, I think they almost need to be in a pure form. They need to be the art, which is really the, how does this make you feel for the piece itself, plus the conceptual skill, fundamentals, whatever it may be, that takes to get to such an achievement. Like, between you and me, if we saw a low level and a high level capoeira fighter, we're not going to know diddly squat shit, probably the difference. Maybe some flow, maybe, but we wouldn't know that there's that amount of extra skill put in between a lowish or maybe a middle level and top level.
I think that one I might be able to. I'd spend a lot of time with movement people.
In capoeira?
There's movements
because I know relatively low level capoeira people, and they move as fluidly as I would have thought of just being like the top level belts, right? So I'm like, I wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so I kind of go, there in the pure conversation of aesthetics, if you're going to have it, I think you have to converse at the pure, how the in itself makes you feel, plus either learning more about the skill set or just whatever skill set or the ability or the foundational skills that it takes to know, and sort of melding them together. And that is what I would say, it's the art and the science of aesthetics. I don't think that you can have a pure conversation about aesthetics if you then add the story. Because I think that you're adding almost that extra vector which takes it away from the pure conversation of aesthetics. You're now talking of the story, in essence. So we just said about Zyzz right at the beginning. And we were talking about his body shape and this. And he came from being, quite small into being bigger and all this. Story. And all the story. But I think if you were to really look at it, if you wanted to have a conversation about pure just aesthetics of what it is, it should just be, here's the specimen that you want to discuss. Here's what it takes, or what the expected degrees of effort it takes to get to that level. Merge them together. Okay. And that should be a conversation on level of aesthetics, how impressive, etc. And maybe you could have more valid conversations between people in that regard. It would be easier to at least know the differences between, hey, I think, like if I go, hey, I think this book is a 7 out of 10, and you go, hey, it's a 9 out of 10, and we talk about maybe the aesthetics or the beauty behind it. There's some differentiations. Maybe we talk about the skills behind it to build it. There's another differentiation. But if we leave it at that, I think you can have a better, fairer, more normal conversation about it. But as soon as we attach any kind of story behind it, I I think you're getting a little bit too far off the path to be talking about the aesthetics or the plain conversation between the art and science that exists there. It's not that you can't have it. It's that now you're having a different type of conversation.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And then I'd also agree every time that I've seen people trying to move away from the aesthetics, double-blind studies of, here's a bunch of artworks that have been presented, no named author, artists and whatnot. There's no consensus. There's no, yes, this one is better. I'm sure I can go and find examples of school children beating the, most decorated person in their field in this particular thing because no one knows who did it. And so they're just judging it based on, they just threw shit on a wall. I went and saw in Canberra one of the most expensive paintings you'll find, the Jackson Pollock, I think it's called Blue Pillars or Pillars. Impressive for it's just a really big fucking piece of thing, something that's 3 meters high, 8 meters long, or whatever it is.
It's a big thing.
It's a big fucking thing, and it's got a lot of color on it. You go, wow, that's kind of impressive just for the sheer size of it. Much like you'll be impressed by a cliff view or at one of those giant turtles you see at Australia Zoo or something. Yeah, that's a big fucking thing. Look at that stuff. What was it? Was there every time that the story gets taken away from me, and I believe in general, the aesthetics then just get so murky. It gets so here and there, so subjective that there is no aesthetites. It doesn't exist.
You've now removed that conversation. Yeah, and I was going to say, there's the same example as we're hating on art, but this happens in art so much. So it's they'll be like, you can tell by this curve that the painter was angry and they're putting the emotions. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm just going to throw that out the side. But again, if you're wanting to be subjective about the piece of art, it shouldn't be about that. It should just be what the art itself presents and then plays back to you, not whatever story you want to go and formulate behind it. So,
and you're going to see this. You're going to see people getting pissed off because AI is winning all the art contests, which don't have the story behind it, and it's just submit your art to this website or to this competition or whatnot. They're going to fucking win all of them because they can just, they can prey on these things that are in the human mind or whatnot and touch it up better or something. Or, they're using the science of fucking data of the eye, looking at this, our eyes get visually attracted to this thing. Wow. So then, okay, maybe there are some aesthetics, rules, principles, which we barely know about that are subconscious. Sure, I can kind of get into that theory, but when it's in the conscious level and we're talking about it, no, it's just all over. So yeah, my little summary here is it's not an important part of my life. So everything I've said, obviously I'm not going to be talking great about it because I don't care about it that much. It kind of is the least essential part of art to me. So I have never bought a thing because I think it looks pretty. One of my exes bought a Just Water. Have you heard that? And it's kind of like she loved the design of it, the graphic design of all of this thing. It's a fucking water bottle, and the water was nothing special because it's fucking water. All water that if you think you're buying like spring water from a fucking mountain goat that's dipped into it. I'm getting it quadruple distilled through a diamond cone. And you understand? Oh, Lottie. Yeah. Well, maybe that'll improve your gut health. I don't know. What do I know? But yeah, in terms of the aesthetics of a partner or something, for me, it's always going to be attached to attractiveness and then kind of therefore evolutionary health. Long straight hair. Oh, okay. That's a strong evolutionary sign. Already talked about hips and waist, symmetrical features, all those sorts of things, and these are the aesthetics I suppose that I enjoy and I'm kind of looking for. But for me, I feel there's always a point underlying it. So difficult topic to be coherent about. So subjective. I don't know what more can be added to the conversation.
That's a good little summary. And for me, equally, I think more so it applies. I see aesthetics in a whole lot more ways. I see them in, like, say, for instance, cars. You don't really see them in cars, right? For me, and there's very much levels to it. We've got friends who obviously go even further to this, but to me, I've said this before, and it's not like it's 100% of the time, but I can very well probably tell you what car it is, or at least what brand, from either the front headlights, the back headlights, maybe some of the curves around the car. I'll be able to tell you predominantly what car it is. So there's, that aesthetics that I enjoy. It's pleasing to the eye. I see that in nature. There's a lot of that I chase in environments that I set up. Even now to the point of, not that it's not critical, so it's not an imperative for me, but it's an enjoyable thing for me to, say, go to a gym and be working out in clothes that I like. It almost like it matches my workout. It matches what I want to be wearing. It excites me to a point. It's not an imperative. Honestly, I'd go and work out in a sack, but like if I can work out in a couple of different things, it'll be fine too. Yeah, I'll work out naked if they allowed me to. Well, can't wait to go and train in a place where I got to take my shirt off again.
I mean, that's the way it used to be done. The gymnasiums of old
Rome
was doing it naked and whatnot.
Get old Greco-Roman wrestling.
Yeah,
the nude, boys. In the nude.
Get that junk in your face. I'm sure there is aesthetics. I'm sure there are rules. I think most of them are so deep within the consciousness that you can't articulate it well in a conscious manner. It's all subconscious. And when you try and do it, it gets kind of murky. So I think underlying beauty or nature, yes, or taste, yes, there might be some things there, but trying to talk about it is by and large for me a waste of time. But once again, like I said, I've tried buying stuff before. I once bought a model thing because I wanted to try and learn how to draw or something. Just never got anywhere with it. That was just a complete waste of money. All things that I buy nowadays, it's usually the history behind it, the story behind it, or the practicality behind it. When I buy a fucking capsicum, I'm not buying it because it's this one is the round or it has an interesting shape. It's like, no, I think I can cut this one the easiest, and this will fit the 5 meals that I need it for.
Yep. Look, mere mortals here. We're probably a little bit more about functionality than we are aesthetics. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So, folks, thank you so much for joining in. Again, this has been a Musings episode going deep into aesthetics and some of the principles or foundations or philosophies behind it. And newsflash, we don't really give it too much of a shit.
The aesthetics I care about are numbers of 22222, boosting that in.
Woo! Now, if you would like
Satchel of Riches, 11111.
So we had 222,222 sats being boosted in. Now, you know how I like myself even numbers. If you'd like to boost in 444,444, you be my damn guest. Make my day, folks. Make my
double
day.
appreciate it.
Double appreciate it for sure. But again, we did talk about it already in halfway through. But if you do want to partake in valuing back the podcast that we've just come out and delivered today, live here at 7 p.m. Australia Eastern Standard Time, feel free to send through a Boostagram. Again, it's a comment attached with some Satoshis, comes through us through any of the new podcasting apps out there, newpodcastingapps.com. So you can go and trial out any of those. Again, Fountain.
New podcast apps.
Newpodcastapps.com. Fountain, Podverse, Castomatic. Take your pick.
Breeze.
There's more and more coming out.
Podfans.fm on the desktop.
So all of those are available. Go and try them out. And again, I know we appreciate it. It can be hard. If you still want to support us, there are other ways. You can jump onto our Discord and have a bit of a chat. You can share this podcast with friends. You can leave some comments telling Karen that he needs to go deeper into understanding.
Yes.
Karen needs to write all his books before he actually reads them.
Give us a book which talks about this in a coherent manner. That explains art and beauty in a coherent
without
manner.
The story. Without the story. Someone send me a book that describes beauty beauty of art without the story behind it.
I'll just send you a psychoanalyst book.
Yeah. That's it for now. Me and Morlight, thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, take care wherever you are in the world. One out.
Peace out. Karen out. Bye.
Beauty.
Good.
Didn't even talk about music.
Do we have any folks there at home? Any comments or anything?
No, it was just Westside Baby saying hey ya.
West Side Baby.
3 or 4 people in the chat. I will be joining the Discord, and I'll be in there in about 5-10 minutes time. If you maybe a little bit longer.
West Side Baby.
So yeah, I'll be there later. Peace.
Ciao.
All right. let's try and get through this list.